In 1519, Hernan Cortez made a decision that would echo through history. Upon landing on the shores of the New World, he faced impossible odds. Outnumbered and surrounded by uncertainty, he gave an audacious order: burn the ships. With no way to retreat, his men had one choice: fight to succeed or die trying. And they did succeed. Cortez's story isn't just about conquest, it's about commitment. It's about making bold decisions, eliminating excuses, and going all in on your vision. Welcome to Burning the Ships, the podcast where we explore what it means to take risks, push boundaries, and refuse to look back. I'm Jason Seward, your host, and each episode we'll share stories, strategies, and insights to help you tackle your challenges head on, overcome obstacles, and make your own history. This is Burning the Ships. Let's get started. Welcome to Burning the Ships Weekly Ramble, and I'm your host, Jason Seward, and today I'm going to be talking about the topic of gratitude, and I'll get into a bunch of different details on that, my perspective on it, how I try to practice it, how I try to teach my how I try to lead by example by expressing gratitude, and just overall how it's helped me in my life just be a better human and have more clear thoughts and be appreciative of the world around me and the people in my world. And so, yeah, I'll go into all things that. I'm going to start off with JJ's Joke of the Week before I get into that. And here we go. JJ's Joke of the Week. Why did the teddy bear say no to dessert? Because it was already stuffed. And that is JJ's Joke of the Week. He has a lot of fun with this because he knows I do 2 episodes a week. And it's funny because he gives me the jokes and I do them on here, and then later, like every week when a new episode comes out, I rarely go back and listen to the episodes because, I did the interviews or I did the talk, but he always wants to play the beginning of every episode to hear his joke of the week, because he gives me like a list of them, and so he wants to see which one I told, and we have a lot of fun with it. When we get into the summer, I'm going to start having him when he's got more time and not in school and everything. I'm going to have him actually come on and start recording. He's done that once, but recording him telling the jokes so he can have a little fun with that. And hopefully soon, again, I'll be able to do a little episode with him, because for those that don't know my son JJ, he has more going on up in that brain than just about anybody else I've met in my life, and he loves expressing it. So he is a very interesting kid to talk to. Can't sit very still, so I don't know. We might have to do the podcast like while we're walking or something like that, but that'll be fun. But back to today's topic, we're going to talk about gratitude. And I think it's important, sometimes I do these rambles and I might be talking about something that's not applicable to everybody, right? I might talk about marriage and not everybody's married, or I might talk about kids, not everybody has a kid. I might talk about entrepreneurship and not everybody has a business, right? So this is a topic in gratitude that I think is applicable to anybody, any age, any circumstance they're in. And I get a lot of, I look for inspiration for these weekly rambles throughout my week, right? And I don't ever sit down and try to map out what my next topic is going to be. I try to naturally just pick up just through what I'm doing every day or what's on my mind. And today I was reminded of, I've always kept everything, even back to my Farm Bureau days. I've got years and years of these yellow legal pads, right? And I've never thrown any away. All of them are in a box in my garage. All the way back to, and I've got notes from every meeting I've ever been to, meetings that I've put on, interviews I've done over the years, stuff like that. But I've got all those on legal pads. Very rarely do I go back and look at them, but recently, over this past weekend, I was moving some stuff in around in my garage, and I saw just one of those legal pages, and the top page on it, I saw the name Jordan Spieth. So I just made some notes on Jordan Spieth, and it reminded me where those notes came from. So a lot of times I always have my notebook with me, right? Even when I'm traveling on vacation, I bring my computer in my bag, and my notebook's always there. So if I have a thought or something I want to make notes on, or I just journal or something like that, I'll make some notes. So Jordan Spieth, um, I'll go back to 2017. I was on an incentive trip in Disney with my family, with Farm Bureau. So it was a corporate incentive trip that we were able to qualify for. Got to take the whole family, and everybody that qualified in Farm Bureau's there, including all the executives and stuff like that. So one of the days we had a pool day, where we didn't go to any of the parks. We just hung out at the pool and just relaxed at the resort we were at. And it was the British Open 2017, Jordan Spieth. He won it that year. And it was Sunday, the last day. He had just, no, I apologize. It was Saturday. He hadn't won yet, but he had finished his round. And I went up to the bar. And for those of you that are listening that work at Farm Bureau or former colleagues of mine, y'all will know this name, but Bubby Trustclair. He was an executive with Southern Farm Bureau out of Jackson, Mississippi, and that was our life insurance company that we sold insurance for. Well, Bubby was up there having a drink at the bar, as he always did on these trips, and I went and sat beside him to order a drink as well, and my family was over by the pool. And I'm kind of giving details that don't matter here, but so we were sitting there, and Jordan had just finished his round, and they had it on a big TV at the bar, and you could hear it, like the volume was up, and they were interviewing him, and he was talking, and it was funny because Bobby and I both, we were talking ourselves, but we stopped and listened to his interview, and literally both of us had the exact same thought listening to him do this interview. And it was, because we went on to talk about it quite a bit. When he was being interviewed, everything positive he said about his round or the weekend or, the tournament he was in and all that stuff, he was phrasing it as, we played pretty good today. We hit that ball, that drive on number 12. We played that perfectly. And we had a good look at birdie on number 15, and we were able to make that. So it was always we. And then when he was talking about a mistake he made, like on number 17, I hit a poor bunker shot, but we were able to save par. On number 2, I got a little frustrated and lost focus, and I didn't execute that, approach shot very well, but we were able to save par. We were able to save par. So he went on, it was just a long interview, and we watched it, and we both, immediately it was like, who could get it out of their mouth? Did you catch that? And he was like, yeah, how he was saying we and I. So we went on, Bubby and I, who was a great leader in that company, had a long conversation about leadership and the way he did that. And that was an expression of gratitude, right? In a lot of ways. He was showing the mindset of his that everything positive is a result of his team, right? So he's the only one hitting these shots, but his team, his coaches, his his wife, he wasn't married at the time, but his family, things like that. Everybody involved in his circle that helps him perform at his best is a part of that team. So everything he individually did good that day, he was referring to it as we, his team, because they all played a role. But everything negative, he took ownership of it himself individually. That was so profound to me. So later that evening, I'm back in the room. I got my notebook and I made some notes about that. And this past weekend, that was 17, so that's 8 years ago. This past weekend, I'm in my garage. I see that notebook. I see Jordan Spieth. I see my notes about gratitude and being a leader. And we win as a team, but when we lose, it's I lost. I run the ship as a leader. So I am responsible for that loss, and I'm not going to share that loss with anybody on the team. It's me. Now they can have ownership of it on their own. That's individual to them. But I lost that game, or I didn't qualify for a sales goal or whatever. But we won this incentive trip. We did that. So that was a very, very profound moment in my leadership career, because I was only, well, I was probably at that point, I had been a leader in my company for, a manager, I don't know, 5 years at that point. But it really shifted how I articulated my thoughts moving forward when it came to anything, personal, business, competitively, whatever it was. We do things together and we do it well. I screw up sometimes. I make mistakes and lose focus sometimes. And Jordan was a great example. And I just, everything about that one moment, and I'm very big on capturing moments, right? And really trying to extract everything I can from little. I mean, that was a 5-minute moment that Bubby and I shared sitting there at the bar watching an interview together. But it was profound enough for me to make notes about it. I saved it, saw it this weekend 8 years later, and it inspired this ramble. So that's what inspired this topic of gratitude. Now I'm going to dive into it a little bit deeper. So when I think gratitude, it's not just thinking thank you, right? That's probably the most common and easiest expression of gratitude, is just thanking people, or being thankful for blessings, or being thankful for even hard times sometimes, because what comes on the back end of that. But like gratitude, it 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 doesn't have to come when everything is going right. That's the one point I want to make, right? It's like gratitude is a choice and it's a discipline. It's a habit, right? So what I mean by that is, going back to my farm bureau days, my insurance sales days, my email signature for my entire career, as far back as I can remember it, was obviously my name, my email address, my phone number, and all that. But at the bottom, it was always a quote: train your mind to see the positive in every situation. So that is practicing gratitude, right? If, and there's some situations that are very hard to find positive in, but if you practice that in life, and practice it more times than not, it becomes a habit to kind of step back and assess everything as, okay, well, there is some good here, and there are some things I can be thankful for here. And sometimes that's hard to find. And even me, who I've had this mindset for years and years and years, sometimes I get in places where it's hard for me to find things to be thankful for. But I have that habit ingrained in me because I've practiced it for so long. I generally can get back to it. Like, all right, there's something here. There's something good. And if it's not apparent to me at the time, I'm going to keep digging and maybe try to make something good out of a bad situation. So with gratitude, I kind of want to start there. Like, it's important to be grateful and thankful for even the adversity in your life, because I've spoke on this podcast, I don't know, at length, about the idea of adversity, hard times. All those things are most important in creating good habits and good times and things like that. There's a saying, I might butcher it, but all right, hard times create strong men or women. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. So I hear that a lot, and I think about that a lot, that, when things are hard, it creates strength. And that's the part of that saying I want to kind of lean into, because the other, it's pretty obvious how it's said. But in hard times, those that can withstand it and have a grateful mind through it and try their best to find positive and a way out of those hard times, those are the ones that come out the strongest, right? And that's something to be grateful for. I've lived it my life in certain situations, and, from childhood, even now in business, there's hard times sometimes. But I've practiced this enough, and I believe in it enough, that I always know there's something good that's going to come out of it, right? And that shapes my perspective around everything. But it all starts with gratitude, right? If I can look at every situation, the bad ones, and we'll talk about good stuff later, but the bad situations, if I can look at that through the lens of, all right, this sucks. This is hard right now. This is hard. We take a deep breath. And by deep breath, I mean, it could take a couple days to take that breath. But let me really assess what's going on here. It might be something that's not going to change. I can't change it. I can't influence the situation, but I can 100% control how I respond to it and how I go forward in that situation. And the way I start that is with gratitude. I'm grateful to have this problem to solve, right? I am grateful for the opportunity to use my brain again and use my resources to get through something. I'm thankful for that. Now, y'all have heard me say this before if you've been listening at all. I like problems. I have a twisted approach to this compared to a lot of people. I welcome hard times. I love exercising my ability to think through things and figure things out. And even when I can't figure them out, I love still trying to come up with a different angle or something to just get through hard times. It's my biggest strength. I have a lot of weaknesses, a ton of weaknesses that have to be covered up by, business partners and other people in my life. But one thing I'm good at is when things get hard and gritty, I get gritty with it, right? And I don't fear those situations. That's why I take such big risk. That's why I have the mentality of ready, fire, aim. I say that all the time on this podcast, ready, fire, aim. What does it mean? Ready? All right, so the typical saying is ready, aim, fire. So you take aim, you pull the trigger, you take your shot. Ready, fire, aim is I pull the trigger, the bullet's flying. I better figure out where it's going to hit, and I got to start aiming. And that's how I live pretty much everything. It's not for everybody. Sometimes it's not for me. Like I get myself in some difficult situations sometimes living that way and approaching things that way, but it's where I perform best. But again, I'm able to do so because I lead with gratitude. I'm thankful for those opportunities. Even when I create them myself, I'm thankful to have that opportunity to think, to be alive, to feel things, to feel bad things, good things, all that. So gratitude in adversity, that's probably like, that's where I want to start with gratitude, right? Through the hard times, because there's no bigger test of your ability to be thankful for things than when you're in the middle of a storm, right? That's the biggest test. If you can do that, then all the other gratitude comes easy. So we'll start there and I'll kind of wrap up there. I made some notes here. So I'm looking at those. Ways to express gratitude. Now, this is getting more into some more positive things. So saying thank you is easy, but saying thank you, just the act of saying thank you for something, that is a habit for a lot of people. Somebody holds the door for you, you say thank you. You don't even know a lot of times, like it's a habit like tying your shoe. You do it without consciously thinking of doing it. You're just naturally saying thank you for something. Somebody, again, holds the door. Somebody lets you cross the street. They stop and you're crossing the street. You give them a wave. You say thank you. You're not really consciously thinking through that. It's just a habit, right? I like to express my gratitude to individuals that help me or that have any influence on me, or maybe they've helped somebody that is close to me. I like to go one step beyond where I have to put some thought into it other than just saying thank you, right? That's the habitual thing to do. So what do I mean by that? Over the years, I had a manager for years that every time I did something positive, so like maybe I'd win a contest or I'd hit a big sales goal. We have all kinds of monthly incentives and sales and stuff like that. And I was fortunate enough to be on a team where we hit a lot of those. And I individually, before I was managing a team, was fortunate enough to hit a bunch. But every time anything positive happened, it could be something as small as hitting a monthly goal, right? Just a simple goal. He would always handwrite a letter and send it in the mail to me. And I've saved all these letters. I have probably 100 letters from him. Just a quick, and it's personalized. Jason, really appreciate your efforts in the month of February. Means a lot. Thanks for all you do for Farm Bureau and the team. And he would send that to me. I've got a ton of these. Those letters meant so much to me. It took him 30 seconds to do it. Write the letter, stuff an envelope, drop it off in the mail. Real easy to do. But he could have called me, or he could have sent me an email when, say, hey, Jason, good job last month. Proud of you. That's great. I would have appreciated that too. But the act of writing a letter out and sending it to me, that's better than sending me a watch, right? Which I don't wear watches, but anything like that. That act of gratitude and things like that filled me with gratitude that I had a leader that did that type of thing for me. So it meant a lot. So knowing how much that meant and experiencing that has kind of shaped how I thank people. Like, I love handwriting letters. I love it. I randomly do it. I just wrote one earlier this week to a mentor of mine that I haven't, we're just busy. We haven't connected in a while. But they mentored me a couple years back, and I sat down because they were on my mind. I saw something they posted online. It made me proud of them, made me happy to be associated with them, and I just wrote them a quick thank you note. They'll get that in the mail and in the next week or so, and it will mean a lot to them, right? And so me showing that kind of gratitude, I'm not doing it to get anything out of it other than making that person's day, right? Anybody on this planet, if they have a heart, if they receive a handwritten note or something personalized like that, it makes their day. And if I can spend 1 minute to have that kind of influence randomly every once in a while on folks that I love, I'll do it. I love doing those types of things. So in practice, like if you're listening to this and you don't do those things, I understand, because it's not a habit. But there's a couple ways you can start, right? And I don't care if you own a business, I don't care if you work, I don't care if you have kids or mentors or whatever. You have people in your life that you're thankful for, right? And you may thank them a lot. Like when you're around them, hey, thanks again for helping me out last week. Thanks again for handling that situation for me. I appreciate you. Those words do matter and they need to be said. But try to find those situations in your life and try to take it one step further. Start with, and I'm going to give you a couple easy ones. Handwritten letters are great. If you got their address or if you can get it and send them a letter, wonderful. Start there. But another, like an easier barrier into that's just as personal, not quite as personal because you're not writing it, but go through your phone. And I'll shout out Fraser Bailey. He gave me this exercise, I'll say exercise because he was helping me with like some fitness and health stuff, but part of what he offers is also mental. And he gave me this exercise, this gratitude exercise of once a week, sit down, go through your phone and pick out 5 people you haven't talked to in a long time. A long time is relative to whatever you think a long time is, but let's say 6 months, a year, some cases 5 years. If you don't have the person's number, go through your friends on Facebook as well. You can do this. But pick 5 of them out a week, excuse me, and send them a short message saying, hey, and I'll use Fraser because I'm talking about him, but hey, Fraser, just wanted to reach out, let you know you're on my mind today. I'm thinking about you. I appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's doing well. Hopefully we can connect soon. That's it. I didn't ask for anything. I wasn't trying to sell anything, nothing like that. It's how you doing? I'm thinking about you. Do you think the person on the other end of these texts, their day is made better by receiving that text? 1,000% yes. 1,000. And if you can have that impact 5 times a week, and I did this for a long time, and I'm going to make it a point to start doing this weekly more, because I'll go several weeks where I won't do it, and then I'll have a kind of a break in action with business or whatever where I'll sit down and I'll do it. But it makes people's day. When I get those random texts, I love it. It absolutely makes my day. And it just reminds me that, even though I'm not with that person or I'm not around that person, don't get to see them much, or, we're just in different seasons of life or we're in different parts of the country, every once in a while they think about me. And when they do, they took the 10 seconds to craft a text and send it to me. It fills my heart. I'm grateful for those things, and I want to the people that I'm grateful for in my life that have had any influence on any part of my life, I want to randomly let them know I'm thinking about them and I'm thankful for them. So try that. Just what comes from it. Number one, you're making somebody's day, right? If you have a good heart, that should be very important to you, to really have a positive influence on people. And that certainly does it. Number two, you cannot start your day that way or end your day that way without being happy. Like if I send out 5 thank you texts, or I write down a couple of handwritten letters and get them in the mail, you know how much I love it. I can't wait to see the response. I can't wait for them to respond, hey, I got your letter. It means a lot to me. You made my day. It gets me right in the heart every time. And I try to do the same thing when I get those acts of kindness, to really let them know how much it meant to me. If that doesn't shape your day or your week and add some more positivity to your day or week, then I don't, like, nothing will. Nothing can fill the cup more than receiving and showing gratitude. Nothing. So, as I always do when I'm talking about these topics, I want to always make a point, because I am a parent. My kids are very important to me. But how do I teach them this? My kids are 13 and 8. How do I teach them to be grateful, to always express gratitude, to not be entitled and things like that? Well, as I always say, we model it. I modeled that for them. They see me not just saying thank you to people, but going above and beyond to try to really make everybody in my life that I come in contact with really believe that I'm thankful for them and I'm not just giving them lip service. So my kids see me do that constantly. But we, we kind of hammer it on them, like anything anybody does for you, you thank them. Simple. Like, I'm around a lot of kids through coaching and just my kids' friends and stuff like that. And it just blows my mind how many kids don't say thank you to little acts of kindness. Right? You hand them a bottle of water, don't say thank you. You hold a door open for them. They blast through, don't say thank you. They don't hold a door open for anybody, right? We've been working on this with both of our kids. But if you're going through a door and you got people behind you, you stop and you hold that door and you let them in. You don't let that door go until everybody's in or somebody takes that door from you. So if we catch them not doing that, we're going to call them out. We're going to make sure they understand that they didn't do it the right way. And next time we better see them do it the right way. And that is just training those habits in them to be grateful and always show that gratitude. And same thing. My daughter, she's she can be a little bit of a pit bull sometimes. Like when she's in her moods and she's 13, she can be your typical 13-year-old daughter. Got a lot of venom in there. She gets it from her mama and not me, 100%. But she's a very grateful human being. Anytime anybody does something, I mean, like, she goes a little overboard with it sometimes. Like, I'll hug her in the morning. Thank you for giving me a hug, Daddy. Like, all right, baby, you don't have to thank me for that. But I don't say that, but she's just always expressing gratitude. Thank you. Let her taste a bite of your food. She doesn't just say thanks. It's thank you for that, Daddy. That means a lot. Like, and I hope that she's that way because she hears me doing that and she hears Katie, my wife, doing that. My son, he's a work in progress. He lives in his own little world sometimes. So we're getting there with him, but again, he's only 8. So, but gratitude, it kind of started, like I said, this was inspired by thinking back or seeing that notebook about the Jordan Spieth story. And, that was a vivid moment. And, like, I'm grateful for having that moment, right? I'm grateful for having that moment with, Bubby. I'm grateful that I didn't see that interview by myself, because then it probably would have impacted me, but I didn't have that 5-10 minute conversation after seeing the interview with a very powerful and respected leader in the company. So I'm grateful for that moment because it leads to stuff like this. And I get to share it with anybody that chooses to listen to this. And hopefully y'all can find some gratitude in areas of your life, and reflect on things in your life that fulfill you and make you thankful that you have people that love you. I mean, I've said this, or somebody actually said it on my podcast, on one of the interview podcasts, I believe. It's been a couple months ago, but they said, they were just talking about life in general and going through adversity and like failing and failing again. And they said that it was Jordan Spieth. He was the one that said it. But if you're breathing right now, if you're breathing, you can get air in your lungs and blow air back out of your lungs, then you are batting 1,000 on life. You're still kicking. You are winning. You have gotten through every adversity you've faced in life successfully because you're still here. You're still living. You still got a chance. That alone. I don't care what else you have going on in your life. That alone is enough to find some gratitude in. Be grateful that you're still here, because 5 minutes ago, several people in this world just died and they didn't expect it, right? They might have, 6 minutes ago when they were still living, might have been struggling to find gratitude in life. But if they could go back 6 minutes ago when they were still living, they'd be very grateful to be there, right? So every breath we take deserves a moment of gratitude and deserves us to be thankful that we're still here. And whatever, form of gratitude or thankfulness you want to express, however you feel it, whatever, even if it's internal and you don't ever show it, but just sit with it for a minute. Be thankful for who you are, what you have, who's around you, the opportunities you have in this world as a human being, and be thankful. And with that, I will wrap up another week of Burning the Ships Weekly Ramble. As always, I thank you guys for following along and supporting the show, supporting me, and everything we have going on. Y'all have a great week. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Burning the Ships. I want to give a special thanks to our sponsor, 608B Capital, helping real estate investors secure fast, reliable funding to fuel their boldest moves. If you're ready to take your investing to the next level, visit 608bcapital.com to learn more. If you found value in today's episode, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but it also helps us reach more people who are ready to burn the ships and commit fully to their goals. And don't forget to share the episode with someone who needs that extra push to take bold action. I'll leave you with this. Burning the ships isn't just about removing the option to retreat. It's about unlocking the courage to charge forward. No matter the odds, the past is behind you and the future is yours to conquer. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Burning the Ships.